The influence of alcohol on our history has been historically underestimated. Here's one example. Thank you, Mr. Contest Master. Ladies and gentlemen, it happened in the small village of Salzier, Indiana, in the year of our Lord, 1844. It was a hot summer's eve, and the men folk of Salzier were prepared to partake of the demon rum down at Bobby Owen's Bait, Tackle, and Tavern. Now, Indiana was a very young state. While we had just named our statehood 8 years earlier. Now, our story has become fixed on two men from Salzier. Matthias Scholl, frontier chiropodist, a man who made his living roaming the countryside cutting toenails. And Al Pilzer, a farmer whose specialty was eating what he growed. Oh, and he liked to write songs, too. Now, they was drinking one night at Bobby's Tavern, and they got on to the hot topic of the day. What do we call folk from Indiana? Now, Al, he subscribed to the group that thought that folk from Indiana should be called Indianians. Well, now, Scholl thought that was just not something that rolled off the tongue. So, they were debating, and they got into a little bit of a heated argument, and of course, heated argument turned into shoving, and of course, shoving mixed with the Indiana humidity and alcohol turned into fisticuffs. And danger! While they was duking it out right there on the floor, all of a sudden Matthias Scholl, he whipped out his big toenail clipper. And there was Pilzer. He wrapped him in this stifling bear hug. It was dangerous. And Matthias Scholl, he wriggled his arm free, and fearing for his life, he snipped off Al Pilzer's left ear. Snipped it clean off with nary a little blood. Third time that week. Just then, Bobby Owen leaped over the bar. Bobby Owen, frontier barkeep and expert fisherman. And he started clearing out people with this giant table leg that had been a table leg before Thursday, and now it's just a great big stick. And he clears it out and he's shouting, "I can't have this fighting carrying on in my tavern. I was going to solve this problem once and for all. Whomever walks through that door next is going to name us Indiana folk, and I don't want to hear another word about it." Well, there the crowd stood, hushed and awaiting the next person to enter the door. Now, allow me to pause and enlighten you to some of the peculiarities of this particular meeting. The main characters in this story went on to become movers and shakers of Indiana. Why, Bobby Robert Lee Owen became elected to Congress, and he introduced the bill that started the Smithsonian Institute. While that table leg hung at the Smithsonian until that Lindbergh fell across the Atlantic. And then Al Pilzer, he kept writing songs that finally hit pay dirt under the name Albert Von Tilzer. He wrote this song that you may have heard called "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." On number 5 show, he became the most famous of all. He went on and took his knowledge of people's feet, and he started fashioning products, and pretty soon people started calling him Doc. He became Dr. Scholl. Now, you may be standing on some of his products, but back to that table lead. There we were, standing, watching, waiting, with bated breath, and in walked through the door none other than James Whitcomb Riley, the poet. He walked in. It was in his rebel-rousing days. He was a little younger. He was just looking for some libation. He looked down, saw that